So James, thank you for your time and for this interview. We're going to have a little chat. So I just introduced you and talked a little bit about your experiences and what you do in your life. So can you tell us what brought you to skydiving and also base and wingsuiting? Like briefly, like if you can tell us.
Briefly, so I could say the two movies. There's a movie called The Gypsy Moths and another one called Point Break. These sort of planted the seed. Then I was always just very curious to what it would feel like, what would be the sensation of a plane and to fly.
So skydiving came before wingsuiting, of course, for you. So now you're mainly focusing on wingsuiting, if I'm not wrong. What do you find so passionate about it?
So I've tried many different forms of flying. So one outside of skydiving. The one for me, which is the purest, that's the most satisfying. You really do fly on your body. There's no aircraft, no rigid elements in the suit. The possibilities of it.
Yeah, basically you are the wing. You become the wing, the airplane in a sense, right? During this time, you saw wingsuiting changing a lot, like evolving in a certain way, changing shapes and material, I guess, and there's been a lot of experimentation. And nowadays I see that there are many different wingsuits depending on what you want to achieve in your flight. So can you tell us a little bit the different directions we have nowadays with the new wingsuits?
So when I started, it was the beginning of the commercial wingsuiting, obviously, thanks to the Frenchman Patrick de Gaidon. At the start, it was basically a suit based on your experience level. There was a beginner suit, an intermediate suit, and an expert suit, mainly from the Bergman manufacturer, which sadly is no longer here. Nowadays, principally, you have three directions of flying: acrobatic flying, performance flying, and let's just call it flocking or formation flying. So it's 20 years pretty much that development's been going on. There's been big improvements in materials, the aerodynamic performance, let's say, how well they test and design the suits in internals with the computer software, and how the inlets work and how the suit's pressurized. So those are the principal changes. If you took today sort of three suits from those different disciplines, you'd see the acrobatic suit is usually small to medium in size, often without a gripper, so your hands are free for taking dogs. Whereas a performance suit will be very, very big in surface area and have quite a lot of different aerodynamic tweaks on the leading edge. They have quite a solid, rigid leading edge now as well to improve the aerodynamics. And a flocking suit is kind of a little bit in between the two. It's an intermediate size. It's not big, it's not small. It has some features on it that give performance, but at the same time, it's still maneuverable.
So for our viewers who are non-skydivers, flocking would be like flying in formation with many wingsuits?
Yeah, when you imagine a flock of birds, it's exactly the same thing.
Okay, cool.
So usually you have a plan, you have a set formation, there'll be one person that sets the base, and everybody will fly relative, a fixed position relative to the base. In recent years, what we see, when we started, it was always very flat formations and very big, but you have a lot of problems with the rows further away from the base, oscillating. Basically, the breathing you have in a formation amplifies the further back you are. So what we tend to do now is build things in sort of three dimensions. So you'll have the base, and you'll have people which are above them vertically, below them vertically, and off to the side.
So they become more, three-dimensional, four-dimensional, I would say, with the speed. Okay, so what about Wingsuit Artistic, which nowadays, I think is the direction of Wingsuit Acro. So is it like a little bit trying to perform like airplanes aerobatics, or what exactly do they do?
Yeah, it's true. It's obviously an aircraft can't dock, so this is the big difference.
Okay. Sure.
So it's definitely, some of the maneuvers come from aircraft acrobatics or different forms of aviation, but then there's obviously things that we can do in terms of relative work or even freestyle. So it is an amalgamation of those disciplines. Principally, it's around obviously relative motion between the two performers, and then they're filmed by a third camera person. And they obviously have to take hand docks or hand to foot docks, and then they will either make transitions vertically and rotations on axis. these were most of the things.
But it's pretty new, so there's room for improvement in what they will show.
Definitely, it's still a very young discipline, and I hope the Sky on Stage is going to help and increase the number of teams and get more people competing.
Awesome. For the curiosity, do you have one name for one acro move, and maybe with your hands show a little bit how it works, just for a fun?
Because they've actually just done the dive ball recently. So if I remember rightly, there is the yin and yang. So you have the two flyers next to each other. They take a hand dock. One flyer reverses onto their back. They take a hand dock. They return, hand dock, and then you repeat on the other side and back over. But I forget there's 30 or 40 different maneuvers.
Yeah, for sure. No, it was just so that we have an idea of what is possible. So can you tell us a little bit of insights on your experience in Point Break? I mean, you've been part of the team doing the filming actually, and also the double stunt double. I don't know how you call it for the actors. So, do you have something?
And overall, it was experience of a lifetime. So a dream come true for me. Because as I said before, one of the things that inspired me was the original Point Break. So to be part of that again was beautiful sort of achievement within my skydiving career. And I'd always had the dream as well to perform in a Hollywood film. So I'd done quite a lot of TV and commercial things, but never in Hollywood. So this sort of ticked all the boxes. It was a lot of work as well as a lot of fun. That's what people don't realise, just how much training and how much jumping we did. The camera that me and Johnny were using, depending on the lens and the mount, would be up to 4 kilograms on our heads. So there was a lot of physical preparation beforehand. And a lot of sore muscles in the process. The thing I remember, kind of as an anecdote, normally you shoot for a TV and you'll come down after a jump and you show the director or whoever, the director of photography, you show them the images, and always they're ecstatic because they understand that they didn't believe that you could get such great images from one jump. Like, my God, there's so much great images here, so much great material, and they're really ecstatic. And of course, it's something they'd never seen before, and camera angles and very dynamic. And so we were doing the first jumps for the Point Break. We've got a storyboard to work on. It's like 120 individual shots, so it was a lot of work. And we come down after one of the first jumps, and the director of photography play the video, and they sit and they confer with each other very quietly, and they turn to me and they go, "It's good, but..." So no matter how good a jump we did with the guys, there was always some critique. So they were always pushing us really to find another level and challenge this every jump.
Wow, what an experience, memorable. Do you practice other sport activities other than skydiving and base? How do you keep fit? Or
so the jumping itself, with especially the base jumping, you do quite a bit of biking, so that keeps me in reasonable shape. At the moment, I've got into FPV drone flying. So it's where you wear these goggles and look like a real nerd and see what your drone's flying. But it's actually quite funny. I get more stressed and have more fear flying the drone than when I fly my wingsuit at the moment, because I'm not a very good pilot with the drone, and I'll be flying close to things, and the visuals are very, very similar to when you're flying.
So you think you are flying your wingsuit or something,
exactly,
and you're actually so you get like
so if you're flying a $200 drone and getting really stressed about it, and my brain hasn't worked out to separate these two things just yet.
Fun. So do you have any tips, like as the last question, do you have any tips for the teams in order to do a jump choreography they can be happy with? Anything?
I think just to get creative. It's not about showing an incredible technical ability to show something that's really difficult. I think it's much more important to focus on being imaginative and creative, not just in the flying per se, but also the possibility of the setting or the suits. There's a lot of different things you can play with that will make things visually interesting as well.
Nice, awesome. Last thing, at Sky on Stage, what I'm trying to do is also awaken a little bit of awareness towards environment and especially respect towards nature. We're doing a sport that it's in nature. I think like actually all the outdoor sports are kind of like the same tribe in that direction. Do you have any message you want to give regarding this topic?
No, it's very controversial for sure, and as we have better understanding of the effect of human activity onto the planet, there's many decisions that we've made in the past which look completely reckless and crazy, but obviously we thought at once upon a time that testing nuclear weapons on planet Earth was a good idea, or blowing them up in space, for example. Many activities nowadays with fossil fuels, maybe in 50 years time will be seen in the same way, but we still have to live and make the transition in the meantime. So I think the message is all of us have a role to play, and all of us can do things which improve our carbon dioxide emission, for example, whether it's what you eat or how you travel, and it's all the simple things moving forward. And who knows, with things like skydiving, I heard they're just in the first test flight on a Cessna Caravan, which is battery powered. So there's definitely possibilities for us to become a greener activity, but we all have our roles.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. Can you tell us where we can contact you, like if people want to approach you for some coaching or anything else? Like, I know you are also...
I'm on most of the social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook, James Boole, Instagram, and then I've also got the website, basestore.it.
Basestore.it. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, James. Next time.